A bit of stream of consciousness that I'm just gonna get out. Woo. Hello, I am Joe. I recently put a bit of a, I don't know, I feel like there's been some controversy in the comments of my recent LinkedIn post. I don't know. I have a way with words. I can be quite an emotive, right? Like generally, it is emotion that pushes me to write because it's a way of getting all this out into the physical material world, right? Um, but I can be quite blunt and direct, and it can invoke an emotional response in others as well. I frankly don't think I'm wrong, and I don't agree with a lot of what people have said about how it's all about EQ instead of IQ and blah blah blah. The bottom line is, it's just not true, is it? It's just not true. It's not. It's like, don't get me wrong. Like, I get what you're saying. I can present a load of bullshit to you in an interview. Yeah, like I can pretend that I'm all great and lovely and I'm on board with all your bollocks, but the reality is I'm just saying what I need to say to get you to sign the piece of paper. Do you want that? Do you want someone working for you that's just bullshit you? No. What you want is people that are going to do the fucking job that you know you need to pay someone to do because you don't have the time to do it. I don't, I can't understand why. Like, right, the crux of what I'm confused about, yeah, is I have hired people. I have sat down with C suites, agreed that we need to fulfill this role, discussed the budget for it, spec'd it out, put it onto all the job sites, received the CVs, reviewed the CVs, written them feedback saying we won't be pursuing you for this reason because I'm not an arsehole that actually takes the time to consider other people's journey in life. Everyone I've ever hired has succeeded in their role incredibly. I'm excellent at hiring, right? I know what you're talking about is the point I'm making, and it's bullshit. Okay, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. When I write a job spec, what I can't do, based on discriminatory laws and based on all logic and reason, is write down the list of things I would expect me to do because I have a top 2% IQ. I cannot reasonably expect other people in the world, the average person that I meet on a day-to-day basis, 98 in 100 applicants, I cannot expect to be able to easily or reasonably achieve what I could achieve in that same time. Yeah? But that goes both ways. It means every job I apply for, I'm one of the 2 in 100 applicants who can do that job in 15 hours a week. And when I start the job and I start doing the job and I get the hang of it, and then I get to that point where I'm proficient and I understand how the business works and I can get my job done in 15 hours a week, everyone looks at me like I'm a slacker. And I'm not a snacker. I'm just a top 2% IQ, like I've been saying to you for years. And that means I am not going to give you double the value for the money that you're paying me. What are you talking about? So, how do I value my salary? Because every job I apply for is targeted at the average employee, a 100 IQ person. I'm not that. I'm 40% more. Do you understand the difference? It's like, watch some fucking videos from like psychologists talking about the difference in deviation of IQ. It's huge. Like, it's not just a small jump. It's not that, like, oh, and it's driving me insane, guys. Like, I'm gonna fucking off myself. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep doing it. I can't keep sitting there in front of you trying to prove my worth to you and trying to explain why I'm worth this money, and then in 6 months' time, when I'm destroying the job and I don't need to give you all the time to do the job you said you wanted me to do, you can't then keep turning around to me and saying, oh, well, you're really not doing everything you could be doing. I'm doing everything we fucking agreed I would do. And that's the point of contracts. It's a huge problem. All right, I don't understand how we overcome it because we have such stringent discriminatory laws that we can't put the same job up twice and say, if you're a high IQ person, you need to do all these extra things and you get this extra money, right? Like, we just don't, that's not a thing that is allowed, right? So that's the problem I'm trying to bridge and understand. Where do I fit into this? Because I am not utilised in any capacity at any business that I've ever worked at, like not to my full potential. I've never been utilized to my full potential. I could be sat in like the Manhattan Project of 2025 contributing like the Einsteins and the Feynmans did, right? Like I could be doing that and I'm not. No one is deploying me. I want to add value to society, but I'm met with is, are you really worth it? And it's like every company I've worked at in the last decade has experienced multiple X times valuation increases, right? Like starting with Sitekit that got a massive Microsoft Platinum deal when I first joined, and then I helped scale out their automation processes, upskill all their existing incumbent staff in automation, turn that into a force multiplier rather than a bottleneck. That's the bread and butter of what I've done over the last decade. Yeah, I went from there to Airts, where I was the single quality engineer to 12 developers, 25% of which held doctorates in computer science. I have zero qualifications. Yeah, that was what caused me to ask the question: why can I do this? Like, how is this possible that I can check the work of people that hold postgraduate qualifications at degree tertiary level in this field? It doesn't make sense. Well, it turns out I'm in the top 2% of human minds. Like, this is the big deal. I don't understand why, when I talk about it, what people hear is like superiority, and it's not that. I'm a 6'3" guy. That's what it's like saying. It's like saying there's a shelf over here and I can reach it. That doesn't make me better than you. It just means I was born in a situation where the cards I've been dealt mean that I can achieve certain things that most people can't. Utilize it, but expect that it means, because the problems I can solve are worth billions, billions, not millions. Like, oh. And I have added millions to the bottom line of multiple businesses in the course of my career. So that's what I'm trying to understand. How do I quantify this? Because when I look at it, I should be on like £1 million a year. I look at like people that own stocks in a business, yeah, and they're earning a passive income constantly because they own the stocks and people are trading the stocks, and it's going up by proxy of the option B stock that's in the market, etc. Right? Like I see that they're doing that. Are they adding any value? No. They're earning more per minute than I've earned in years. The system is broken. Right? It is broken. And when you then compound it, where I'm now in the position where I can't even feed myself. Like, my mum is feeding me again. I'm a 36-year-old man who has been destroyed by solicitors' fees in a custody dispute. It has destroyed my life. I've got nothing left to show for 19 years of work. I have no property, no car. Literally all I own is this desk and PC. That's it. That's all I've got left. I've sold everything. I've divested everything in order to try and just be there for my daughter. And now I look out at the market, and like when I look at a job, like I'll give you an example what recently happened. LinkedIn sent me a notification for a role as a product manager at Raspberry Pi, right? It said you should apply for this. You would be one of the top applicants, right? So a digital algorithm in a platform designed to connect people looking for work with roles has identified me as the most likely candidate, or at least has said that to me, that I would be very like one of the top applicants for this role. I applied. I just got blanket rejected. Didn't even get an interview, didn't get a test, didn't get anything, just got rejected. I don't understand why. Why? Like, why? There's no information why. I've got no feedback. There's nothing to tell me. Was it my salary expectation? Was it the way I presented my CV? Was it the way I talk about my most recent employers? Possibly. My last employer, I can't even talk about. Like, I just have to leave it blank. It's really bad. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, it's a mess. I was told throughout school, by the media, by the leaders in society, by the people I looked up to, that my future was going to be one where we were going to deploy technology and transform the world. Okay? And don't get me wrong, there are many areas where we have done that as a generation of workers, yeah? But one thing that's clear to my mind is we are not deploying technology at the rate, the constraint at how fast we progress technology in our society in the West is not the rate of change people can cope with. And I think we're commonly sold that that is the reality, that humans can't cope with the change and we need to do it slowly. And what I'm realising, that is not the case. It's not. Look at COVID. Literally, one night it went from everyone goes to the office every day to the next day 80% of people didn't go to the office. Like, overnight, the whole of society changed. And yeah, it was painful, like, don't get me wrong, but we can change, yeah? What's happening is we are not deploying technology based on that constraint. We are deploying technology based on the constraint of our economic cycle, okay? And I think it causes me a great deal of frustration and difficulty because I'll give you an example. When I was still in school, I didn't attend most of year 10. I didn't attend school on Friday. I just didn't go. I couldn't be doing with it. They're fucking wasting my time moving at a snail's pace at the average speed, right? And I'm like 2 years ahead. So what I did on Fridays was sat on my ass in my room smoking hash and did the MIT open sourced physics course, right? So I was doing undergraduate physics in year 10 of my own volition because I was just bored and I needed stimulation. That's an example, right? What I learned in that process was it spawned a process of researching other technologies that's happening at the time. So we're talking 20 years ago, yeah? 20 years ago, IBM had already completed the research that demonstrated we could have 2 nanometer CPUs, right? This is getting really technical now. I understand if 98% of you just glazed over and can't continue the conversation because this is a 2% IQ brain. This is what I do. I can traverse from atoms to macroscopic, like galaxy level physics, and I can explain it all to you, all the way, all the stack. So then, right, if economics wasn't the constraint, what we could have done is just said, okay, as a species, we could technically have 2 nanometer CPUs in our desktops and mobile phones. Let's do that, right? We could have. That was a choice. We had the resources. We demonstrably have the resources, right? Because we can do it now, 20 years later. So we could have done it then, yeah? Like, the science was done. We knew how to do it. But the alternative decision that the boards made was, let's go to 20 and 18 and 16. Now, don't get me wrong. There are technical barriers to scaling the technology that was proven at the 2 nanometer scale that needed to be overcome, but they were demonstrably not unsolvable, right? Because we have solved them. And the question is, could we have solved them then? Maybe it would have been more expensive. The point I'm trying to get to here is what I interpreted from my research and my exposure to technology and science was a virtuous goal for our generation was to delete the jobs. Okay? Like, that's not a fantasy. That isn't like me being a technocratic fantasy thinker. It is demonstrably and technically an option for us to automate all of the processes we need to survive and thrive as a species. Agriculture, house building, moving stuff in buildings like factories and stuff. Managing how people get from place to place in an automated fashion. All of these things are demonstrably technologically solvable and would require no further mass scale effort from human labour. We can do it. That isn't fantasy, guys. Like, we could make this choice. But we're not. We're choosing to squander entire generations of potential effort and focus on things they're passionate about so that they can get the imaginary coins to pay for things like shelter and food and transport and energy and warmth and clothing. And we aren't deleting jobs. Like, quite the opposite. Right now, we have a really strong social message that AI is a problem. That AI is bad. I can't understand what motivates you all. Like, and it makes me feel like I'm just born 200 years too soon. Like, I just feel like we could be living in the Star Trek Federation and you're all like arguing we shouldn't do it because you might be like the lord of the land one day and be able to crack the whip on everyone. And so why would we want to do that when I could have all this power? That's what it seems like to me. So my goal in life is to delete jobs. All right, like that is my goal. I want 98% unemployment. Not because I want everyone to be poor, right? I also believe that we should deploy technology in a way that means you don't have to exchange your time to stay alive, right? The only thing you need to exchange your time for is luxuries. So if you want to buy the Kushti seasoned sausages from the nice uh, artisan butcher, then yeah, you need to go and get a job in order to be able to buy them. But if you just want protein in your diet, you should not have to work in order to get that. Because there are like 9 billion pigs on Earth, and we kill them all every year, and everyone can have a sausage. Like it, it's insanity. Oh, and what's scary is like when I talk about it, I get really impassioned, right? And so I think I come across as the insane one, but I'm not. I know I'm not. Like, listen to people like Gary Stevenson. He's talking about this. He won't go down this far because he knows it will alienate you. Yeah, like, and I get that. But I do feel that we need to talk about where are we going? Like, what is the destination? We're all on a journey together in life, yeah? Like this moment now, 1408 on the 25th of Feb, we're all here now. We're doing it now. We're all alive. We're on this planet. We all woke up this morning. We didn't kill ourselves, which means we said to the rest of the world, 2,000 calories, mine. Shelter over my head, mine. Clothes on my back, mine. Like, we are dictating that every day we wake up and we stick with this program of life. We are dictating to everyone else that we are taking those things. And the structure we have in place right now to manifest that dictation is the economy, right? Like, the reason you can dictate it is you have the money to get the things. Yeah? But we don't view it like that. Like, we don't view continuing to stay alive as a dictation to the rest of humanity that you need to take the resources you need to survive. We don't view it like that. We view it as this like wishy, oh, it's such a you can't die. Don't do suicide. That's the worst thing ever. And it's just it's no different, is it? If I do it, most of you aren't going to give a shit. Like you'll be sad for a couple of hours, and then you'll just get on with your lives. Don't pretend to me that it will be any different. I've literally watched staff members get killed, and no one gives a fuck after a week. So don't blow smoke up my ass pretending that you give a shit about me. I know none of you do. Like, it's clear you don't, because when I try to get answers to this stuff, you just tell me I'm the problem. Look, like, there are massive issues in this society. There are a small group of very wealthy people rinsing us. Okay, and their children will never work, and their grandchildren and their grandchildren's grandchildren will never have to work. Yeah, they'll never sit there wondering, if I don't get a job within the next 3 weeks, I ain't going to be able to pay the rent and I'm not going to be able to eat. Yeah, that will never be a problem for them. So if you can subscribe to this system of economy, what you're saying is you accept that there are people that don't have to work to survive. And they don't have to earn it. They don't have to do anything special. They don't have to be special. They don't have to achieve anything. They just have to fall out the right place, and they just never need to contribute anything, and they can just survive. Worse yet, they can buy the houses from underneath you and then sell them back to you at twice the price. And you'll just be like, no worries, that's just the way the world works. It's... I don't get it. I don't understand why you will keep complying with this. It's insanity. And let me be clear, right now in Britain, yeah, we have the already, just in our economic model, we have the wealth for no one to need to pay rent or a mortgage, for no one to need to pay for groceries in the shop. We have the wealth here for no one to ever need to worry about if they get sick being looked after by a doctor or a nurse. Yeah? It's all manufactured bollocks that means that we have these barriers in between having access to these basic human needs. None of it needs to exist. Okay? It exists by virtue of the fact it existed before, and we have inherited a system that we're just going along with. I urge a lot of you to just quit your jobs, or at the minimum, opt out of your pensions. Like, there needs to be an economic signal, right, to the hand of the economy that says there's a problem and we need to correct. And right now, that isn't happening. There is no signal. There is no way you can send a signal, is there? You can't vote. You only get one chance every 4 years, and even if you do vote for people, they will just sell your vote to the highest corporate consultancy firm that will offer them a contract in the future. So you would do that if you were in their position. It's not a bad thing. It's part of how the system works. We need to change the system, and a big part of it is removing the fundamental stress of survival. I should not be, regardless of the fact that I'm a 6'3", top 2% IQ man, just on the fundamental principle that I am alive. I should not be indebted. I should not have to work to stay alive. I am a slave in that scenario, right? It's no like it, and I want change. Like I want to be the change as well. This is the hard bit. Like I don't see change happening because I'm talking about it. Like it's not going to, is it? Like we believe what we do. This is my new mantra in life at the moment. We believe what we do, not what we think and feel while we do it. And so for the last year, I've really embodied that, which is why I'm not applying for jobs here, there, left, right, and centre. Like I am just taking from my mum. I'm dictating to her, and the choice she has is she either kicks her son out, homeless, or looks after me because I'm doing nothing about it at the moment. And it's shit because I've got a little girl out in the world that needs a dad in her life, that needs her intelligent father focused on her well being, on what she needs. But I've tried that and it's got me nowhere. I and I guess I'm just not worthy, right? Like that's the message that reality is giving back to me is I'm not worthy of survival because I can't meet any of the needs of the people that I care about. And no one will even tell me what I should be earning. I can't even be told you're worth this much. So it just leaves me in a place. Just fucking give up, lad. Like that is literally where I end up mentally. And then, thankfully, I'm prescribed cannabis, so then I can just have some of that and not care about the world. But that's about to run out because I've got no money to buy it. So we'll see what happens. I don't have great hopes for this year. I really would be surprised if I ever see my daughter's 8th birthday. To be honest, like it, it's a fucking real shame. It really is because I could add so much value to this world. I could be, like I say, working in blooming Manhattan, the modern Manhattan Project, contributing to that sort of stuff, stimulating other intelligent people's minds. But I'm not. I'm not deployed. There's no mechanism to deploy me. The only mechanism to deploy me is I have to constantly search for the right role, and then I have, and like it just. What we gonna do, guys? I am not the only person in this position. Yeah, like unemployment in this country grew by 170,000 people in December, and it's going to continue growing. My current estimate is that by September, in 7 months, we'll see 2 million people unemployed in the United Kingdom. It's going to keep growing. It's not going to get better, but it is better. Like, this is the hard bit when I talk about it because my goal is 98% unemployment. Okay, like I want to see that. We need to see that. The idea that everyone needs to work is an old idea that we need to let die. It's not true. It's demonstrably not true. You can't say everyone needs to work in the same breath have rich people handing their wealth down to their children who actually never need to work. It's a contradiction. Like it's not true. Ah! Look, I'm blatantly like ASD1, all right? So stuff like this, it's just my brain is literal. Like I literally, I say the words and I mean literally what each word in the dictionary means. So whereas I know neurotypical people like they can exist in that dissonance where it's like but I think really what they're saying, like this is where my EQ comes in. I think really what they're saying is they believe that wealth gravitates to those who are worthy. Yeah, and that it's it plays on like the fundamental British Christian Judeo-Christian beliefs of goodness and Samaritanness and sin, right? So I get where that comes from, but it's demonstrably bollocks. Like most of the most heinous, arrogant, self-obsessed people in society are those that have just inherited wealth with no effort, right? Like it rarely does inheriting wealth denote virtue. And just accept it. Like, you don't, most of you are doing pointless shit with your time. Like, you're neglecting your kids, you're stressed out, you're tired, even if you're still working from home. You're probably looking in the mirror. A load of you are probably not actually doing 37 hours a week when you're working from home, right? Like, you've got time to look at BBC News and go on Facebook, watch some YouTube, maybe play a video game during the week. Like, I know you won't admit it publicly. I get it, because we all live in this bullshit dissonant lie where we have to, like, show, not lose face for our employer. There's just a lack of sense of urgency and seriousness in our time, isn't there? Like, I feel. And it just leaves me disillusioned, so I just sit here and do nothing. I literally have just been pretending. I've just been playing a video game, literally. I've been playing Elite Dangerous for like 7 months straight now, because I just... to me, it's adding as much value as if I went and got a quality engineer job. It really is. Like, even if I worked hard to focus on ensuring the company I align with is in an industry that solves a social problem, right? Which is genuinely what I've tried to do in my career, just to mitigate that sense of, like, this is all pointless bollocks. Even then, invariably, you end up in a position where someone with a check wants you to do a thing that isn't why your business exists. It's just advantageous to them for you to do it. And the second that happens, you've lost me. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? We're here to do this, so let's do that. And then they're like, yeah, but this money for that thing. And I'm like, no. And I'm told I'm unflexible. It's like, no, I was perfectly flexible when I walked in the door. Like, if you'd have put in the list of things I need to do, be flexible to other whys of this business, then yeah, that's cool. But you didn't. You said that the reason we're here is to solve this problem, and then you shifted the goalposts after the fact, and now you're saying I'm the problem. No, this isn't how boundaries and contracts work, guys. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. If you want me to be flexible, engage me on a fixed term contract, yeah? Say that for this period of time, you'll be doing this. And then at that point, we'll review what you're doing. And if it needs to shift, it will shift. And then I will say, that's fine. Because of the lack of certainty and because of the time-based finite period of it, that increases my daily rate a bit. Not like I'm not saying I need 20 grand a second, do you know what I mean? But it increases my risk, yeah? It means that in 6 months' time, I don't know I'll still be working here. So I need to build that into my compensation for my time with you. I think I covered a lot in this. This is just an example of what happens when you give 27 minutes of your attention to a top 2% mind, all right? Maybe to you, I'm all over the place. I'm a scatterbrained lunatic. I'm pretty certain I'm not. I'm pretty certain I'm not. I'm 95% sure the truths I see in the things I've looked at are factual. I spend a great deal of effort trying to falsify a lot of what I believe to be true about the world, and very rarely do I manage to. There's been a few areas, don't get me wrong. We're all subjected to our blind spots, and I deeply value anyone who's willing to help me see them. Like, please, keep going, and I thank you. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything like that. There's just things I am better at, right? Any task that involves looking at a data set and seeing a pattern, I will be 40% quicker than the average person. Like, that's just simple reality. It's no different to saying any shelf that's 6'9" off the floor, I will reach it easier than a 5 foot person. It's not... right? But productivity is what we pay for. So... why am I skint? And I'm not that financially negligent. Don't get me wrong, like, I have made errors in the past, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm nearly off the nicotine now. I can't wait. I'm down to the 5 milligram. This will be it. I've got 3 bottles left, and then I'll finally be off that.